Hello, John Bloodworth, Gentleman Crafter, continuing the Fun with Foundation paper piecing series today with episode 24. Today we're going to look at this particular pattern, which is called Broken Dishes. It's a block that's formed of two parts, so you've got the A and B sections. I've already cut my fabric according to the download that you can grab from my website, gentlemancrafter.com. And I'm going to start by positioning the first piece on the A1 part, using the red dotted line to help me align that piece. It's going to be positioned right side facing up, and then A2 is going to go directly on top of it, right side facing down. So these will form our first two sections. I'll pin this in place, and then I will be sewing along the line that separates sections A1 and A2. Don't forget to use short stitch spacing. Excuse me. On my machine I've got it set to 1.6, and of course remember you are starting at the beginning and finishing at the end of that dashed line, sewing on it, not either side of it. Take your time, slow the machine down if you need to, and tack stitch or reverse stitch at the start and end to make sure those seams stay in place. Trim your threads and then unpin. We're now going to fold part 2 back over its section, and it should cover the entire section and go out towards the solid edge. Don't worry if you're slightly off and it fits just inside. As long as it's past the outer dashed line, you'll be fine. I chose to press this week because I've got various different things going on. So I pressed it down. You could of course just finger press it to keep it in place. Then we're going for part A3, which is obviously colour 2. And you can use the points formed by the previous two parts to help you line this one up. It's not always so obvious, but as you can see on this occasion you've got the three corners formed by the previous parts that help you line that one up. Then you're going to stitch between parts A1 and A3, right down the middle. Same as before, nothing different here. You might like to use thread that is more appropriate for your fabric choices. I'm generally just using black throughout, but it can occasionally show, which doesn't give you a nice finish. So maybe try and find a colour that's more appropriate for your fabric choice. So that section is getting folded back over section A3, and again pressing in place. Now I haven't done it so far on this one because everything's been precisely positioned, but I am going to fold back section 4 using a piece of card on that fold line or dash line, and then my add a quarter ruler, and you can see there's quite a bit of excess there, which actually would mean you would position the next piece incorrectly if you didn't trim it off. So again, the next piece is going on top. We've got the bottom edge that we can line it up with, and the bottom right corner point. So that gives us 2 points of reference. These all help in making sure that things go in the right place. They're not always there, but with this particular pattern they are, which is a godsend. So we're stitching between 3 and 4 now. If you're not sure which colour goes where, on the download I have included the positions, the pattern locations for each of the colours that you've cut. Okay, so unpinning that, folding it back, Again, it should be within that seam allowance or beyond it. Press it. And that's the first half of our broken dishes pattern finished. So we can trim now to the solid edge of that part. Just using your bog standard quilting ruler and rotary blade for this. If you wanted, you could do it with scissors. It don't really matter. I didn't, but it might be worth actually taking the time to trim those dangling threads as well, just because they can make things unsightly. Okay, so there's section A complete. What you would do next is do pretty much the same with section B, and then we come to the point where we join those together. So here's my section A and B. A goes on top, B goes on the bottom. So bring section A on top of section B, making sure that center seam is lined up, and hopefully your two outer ones will as well. Take your time on this. Pin it in place or clip it, whatever works for you. I clipped, but actually in the future I would probably end up pinning. And especially that center seam, because that's the important one. That's where your points meet. Now for sewing these patches together, you might want to increase your stitch length just a little bit. I went up to number 2 on my machine, which was 2 stops up, just because there is a bit of extra bulk going on here with all of the seams that meet in the middle. Trim your threads as we have been doing all the way through. And then I'm going to tease that open using the finger pressing tool to make sure all of the bits that are supposed to be on one side go on that side and vice versa. And then I will press it in a second just to really secure those stitches and press that seam flat. Watch your fingers. And then turn it over and give it another press. And there we have our broken dishes block, pattern number 24, available for download from my blog, gentlemancrafter.com. And here's a closer look at that. Okay, thanks for watching. Please remember to give the video a thumbs up and subscribe for future content. Bye for now.